Oh, man. Hello. How we doing, everybody? Do we sound good? I know there's a glare. I get that. The sun is not blowing up next to me. How is it going, everybody? Welcome into the post-race show today for the 2025 Firekeepers Casino 400 at Michigan International Speedway. And guys, I feel like I'm not dressed correctly for the occasion. I get it's a little outdated, but I think I hold on. I think I might need to change really quick. Um, there we go. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Denny Hamlin beat your favorite driver. He beat your favorite driver at the Michigan International Speedway. And yes, pancakes. No, I was not going to take my shirt off. I promise. I will not curse you with that. Not until I get in better shape. I'm sorry. I have to joke with you guys on it because it's just that funny. But Denny Yahoo wins at Michigan for the first time in 14 years. And I'm gonna take this off actually because it's my wife's hat and it's actually not big enough for my head. So I figured I'd do that. Yeah, I don't want to lose circulation and pass it on stream. That would not be fun. But I was actually at the last Denny Hamlin win all the way back in 2011. I was at that race because that was the one I think where Dale Jr. called Mark Martin careless. And well, that's just uncharacteristic of both. But hey, let's get on into the here and now 2025. The 2025 Firekeepers Casino 400 at Michigan. Denny Hamlin, the winner after 200 laps, 7 cautions for 33 laps. He won by 1.099 seconds. So he basically won by 1.1 seconds. 2 hours, 48 minutes, 18 seconds is the time of this race with 15 lead changes. And I said yesterday that the truck race was actually longer than the cup race would be today. And it totally was today. It was. And we got plenty to talk about. We'll talk about Carson Hocevar. We'll talk about Denny. We'll talk about everything. But let's get into the finishing order of this race here. Denny Hamlin with the victory over the number 17 of Chris Buescher. After that is Ty Gibbs with one of the best runs all season. Then Bubba Wallace, Kyle Larson, Ross Chastain, Zane Smith, Kyle Busch with the top 10, Preece and Keselowski. Those are your top 10 finishers. After that, 11th is Jones, Barry in 12th, 13th Reddick, 14th Suarez, and 15th again for Chase Elliott. I had to double check. I had to go on both taking the notes I did from the broadcast finishing order and then also look at the raw feed that NASCAR has. And yeah, Chase Elliott somehow again winds up in the 15th spot. Bell in 16th, 17th Allmendinger. Shane Van Gisbergen, another top 20 and an 18th place finish heading on to Mexico. Going to be good enough momentum for him, all things considered. Austin Dillon 19th, Stenhouse 20th. 21st is Haley, then Logano, Briscoe, Ty Dillon, Riley Herbst, Cody Ware, and Noah Gragson. Down to 27th and 28th. Last on the lead lap, ran out of fuel at the very end. William Byron, 1 lap down in the 29th spot after a flat tire for Carson Hocevar. Michael McDowell 1 lap down in 30th, also a flat as well in 31st for Austin Cindric. 3 or 4 laps down, I believe it was, for Ryan Blaney in 32nd. Then Todd Gilliland was out in 33rd. 34th was John Hunter Nemechek out of the race. Custer in 35th, and Alex Bowman with a 36th final place finish in this race. Finishing order will be on the bottom right here. If I spelled someone's name wrong, which I probably did, let me know. All right, let's be honest with ourselves here. What are we rating this race? Out of 10, what would you give the 2025 Firekeepers Casino 400 at Michigan? Let me know in the chat right now what you thought of the race out of 10. I want to see what you guys got. And the chat disappeared on my end, and now it's back. And we're seeing a lot of positivity here. We're seeing 8.5s, 9.5s, 11 out of 10. I like that. 10, 11, 9.5, 9.5, 9.17, 9, 9, 8, 10, 9. It's very positive. A 9 from a very unbiased Alex Bowman fan. Let's see. 10 pancakes, 9.5, 10 pancakes. I guess spam pancakes if you really liked it too. Personally, I thought this was one of the best races of the year from start to finish. Were there some kind of lower moments where things calmed down for a bit? Yeah, but that's okay. It does not make a race bad. It doesn't even really take away from a race if it builds up to something and picks back up. And that's exactly what happened here with this race. And there's the pancakes. Look at all those. They look so weird on the emoji side of things on here. But this race, I mean, if you're watching for the racing aspect, it was really good racing. If you're watching for the strategy aspect with the fuel mileage and everything like that at the end, it's a really good race. If you were watching for the chaos factor, with guys either wrecking out or the topsy-turviness of it all, you had that too. You had pretty much everything you would want in a NASCAR race. I'd give it a 9 or a 10, personally. I really, really loved this race. I thought it was really fun. I thought that it was about the best racing overall we've seen this year. And people bring up, well, there was a dirty air and there was, it's difficult for some to pass, but I would kind of push back, at least in the passing part. We saw a lot of guys making up 10, 12, 15, 20 spots in a run during this race. We saw, the dirty air was a factor, but it seemed like the driver that was trailing could do something with it. So, I agree. We still need more power. I want more power, but it was still pretty damn good. Let's see. Yes, I did. Well, you can capitalize or not capitalize either way on this one. So I saw more people saying to capitalize than not. So I'm just going to capitalize. Exactly. You had to set up the pass correctly. Now I get that it's not as easy as just pulling out and passing somebody, but that's really never been the case. And do I like pancakes? Yes, I like pancakes and I like waffles. But that's never been really the case at Michigan, that you can just, pass everyone at will. Dirty air has always been a factor. Don't get me wrong, maybe not as much as it is right now, but it's always been a factor in these races. And pretending that it's not is, in my opinion, just, foolish at that point. Now let's see. What else do we got right now? Let's look through the race itself. Let's go from, honestly, let's do old school. Let's go start to finish on this thing, right? Let's do start to finish on this thing. And by the way, I should before we get too far, NWP's on Eric's channel this week, but I picked the winner correctly. So and yeah, after the race talk, we can talk Ram, because Ram is back now, officially, but the start of this race was, I would say, really fun. The first stage, you got Byron and Briscoe battling for the lead, Busch battling for the lead in the first lap. And through the run, you have Buescher come up and take the lead. The lead was not something like, you had the dominant cars, like William Byron, for instance. Byron, I would say, dominant car of the day, but he was not invincible. You could go up and race him. You could go up and pass him. The 17 did that. And you saw the racing with Briscoe. You saw overall a race where you had to maybe not be perfect, but you had to be as close to perfect as possible to maintain a front position in the race. What's up with all the pancake emojis? It's a pancake commercial for Dale Jr. And so you saw at the end, Buescher kind of almost did what Hocevar and Heim were doing yesterday, toying with one another, getting it set up right at the right moment for them to pass. And Buescher wins the first stage over Byron, Hamlin, Briscoe, Berry, Blaney, Larson, Bubba, Busch, and Hocevar. And we'll pick up on each one of these people as it goes, because Stage 2 to me was interesting because Chase Elliott showed up. You know, that you had some strategy to play with that, but Chase Elliott showed up and it was actually competitive early on in this race. Unfortunately, we had the issue of, well, everything else that's kind of struck with Chase Elliott this year. The strategy being a little off, the adjustments not being there, sometimes pure dumb luck, sometimes penalties in the pits. Elliott led in this race. And he stayed out a couple times because we did have, a bit of craziness right here. We had crashes and we had incidents and all of that. But unfortunately for Chase fans, he stayed out one too many cautions in this cycle. Tried to play the wrong strategy. It didn't work right. And they were sort of in the middle of the pack the rest of the way. They were able to make up spots. Of course, the penalty didn't help. But Chase Elliott today, it is like a microcosm of his season, right? Have a top, I'd say 5th to maybe 10th place car, a top 10 car. I would say a top 10 car today. Mismanaged the race. He had good restarts. I mean, Chase Elliott has had the problem of bad restarts all year long. He's one of the worst in NASCAR with restarts. But today, when he was up front, he was damn good with restarts. He made up spots. He was fast on the jump. And I think you can tell he probably took a bit of that to heart and went to school about it. Unfortunately, just everything else fell apart around him, and he finishes 15th on the day. That's the issue there, man. That's been the issue with Chase all year. And again, the team's good. They're going to be fine. They'll make the playoffs, they'll do all that. But the team executing this way is what kind of is not scaring me, but is worrying me, because when you're having to execute more, the 9 team has shown one way or another, whether it be driver, crew chief, team, set up from the beginning. So I guess you could go back to crew chief on that one, or even the shop. Just it does not line up to work for an entire race. Now, I mentioned that there was a bunch of craziness and cautions and crashes and all of that. Lap 67 rolls around on one of these restarts where Chase is leading. And there's a big crash. They're 4 wide. The 2 and the 41 get squeezed. It looked like the 35 was up top. I did not realize he was 4 wide. It was a big squeeze job into 1 and 2. And Alex Bowman is the biggest loser in this. There were 4 cars collected in this wreck. Bowman, then you had the 41 of Custer, then Suarez and Briscoe. But Alex Bowman takes a hellacious hit, just one of the biggest hits. I think he said the biggest hit of his career, which is crazy to think about with his injury history, and something that probably somebody should follow up through the week on when it comes to him. I don't know what to say anymore about Alex Bowman this year, other than the fact that team was on it, man. At the start of the year, the 48 team was on it. They were a top, I'd say, 7 team in NASCAR. And now they have just went completely free falling. And the only reason that they're probably not out of the playoff picture right now, or at least or at least they're not below the cut line, is probably because everybody else keeps screwing up around them, because that is sort of the name of the game in that side of things. He's plus 13, I believe, is what I saw. And I think somebody in the chat said the same thing. And I get, like, yes, that was not Bowman's fault per se, but he's running 25th to 33rd off of speed in this race. Like, let's not pretend Alex Bowman was a world beater during this race. Let's not pretend he was even going to, let's not pretend he was even probably going to get stage points today. Maybe if some kind of strategy, whatever. But speed-wise, that 48 was out to lunch today. So I'm going to ask this. Is it time for the 48 to panic? Because I think it's starting to get to panic time. I really do. I think that it is panic time for Alex Bowman fans, you name it, at this point. Because that team is in such free fall that even if they get it straightened out at this point, you're looking at such a tough hill to climb points wise. We're going to Mexico this week. We're going to Chicago and Atlanta, or sorry, Echo Park. We're going to Pocono, which has had crazy ass finishes like Michigan does with fuel mileage before, and can turn topsy turvy in one lap. Uh, there's so many possibilities of new winners that are coming up that even if Bowman is 14th or 15th on the grid right now, I don't know where exactly he's at. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. Eric, this past week when we were on NWP, you can go back and watch it this week. When we were talking a bit about the points picture, he had pretty much said, like, to him, 14th is 16th right now. That is your bar. That's your litmus test. That is what you need to aim for right now to make it. And to me, Alex Bowman, I don't even think 14th is really the line. I think we're due for some shuffles with wins. And so with this team just either not running well, getting caught up in crashes, I mean, horrible finishes. Like I got to check right now on the results of his season so far, but I have to imagine that the last month or two, if I'm remembering off memory, has just been horrible. Like it's so hit or miss, but you look at the results. So he was third in the points after Homestead, right? They had just gotten off the second place finish. He was racing for the win against Larson. Had outside of Atlanta top 10s in every race. Since race 6, third in the point standings after Homestead. At Martinsville, he was 27th. Darlington, 35th. Bristol, 37th. 7th at Talladega. Okay, that's good. 35th at Texas. 5th at Kansas. See, the speed's there. They were able to execute. 29th at Charlotte. 36th at Nashville. 36th at Michigan. I'm sorry, man. I get that, and I get he can win because I do think he's capable of doing so. But after today, it is time to panic. I'm sorry. It's time to panic, man. That 48 team is not in a good state at this moment. But let's not talk all day about him. I'm glad he's okay. I know people got upset at me because I tweeted before his interview out of the media center, which I thought was weird. I saw him walking off, confirmed everything else, but whatever. We had a lot more of these just kind of topsy-turvy crashes, little cautions, things like that through stage 2. You did have Ryan Blaney's spinoff 4 bringing out the caution. Was Lucky Dog award given to, I believe, Bell after that because of the way everything had shuffled around and because of him having to pit lap 107. But it's such a, the last 2 races are such a good way to show Blaney's season, right? Where he'll win and then follow it up with like a sub 30th place finish. That team is one of the best ones out there, but stuff keeps happening over and over again. Of course, we get it back going. The 19, I believe, and the 2 were up front. Cindric, among others, have a musical chairs for the lead early on, and a battle towards the end. Byron ends up getting by him at the line, winning stage 2. Then Cindric, Hocevar, Reddick, Ross Chastain, Priest, Bubba, Hamlin, Ty Dillon, and Eric Jones at top 10. But here's the fun part. Let's just get to the final stage here. The final stage to me was where all of this stuff, all of the craziness, all of the good racing, all of the strategy that we wanted, where it all meshed together. And at that point, you get it back going. Byron takes the lead early on. And for the most part, you did have a very, I don't think lackadaisical is a good word. I don't know why it's the first one that came to my head, but a very subdued start. The aggression today was insane. I absolutely loved the aggression today from just about everybody in the field. But you sort of saw stuff string out for a little bit. You saw Byron get the lead. And again, I think the 24 was probably the best car out there, off speed at least, which is a good indicator for the rest of the year. Michigan has always been a pretty good indicator of like who's on it, who's not, especially power, speed wise, everything like that. You did have Larson talking about lower voltage and issues there. Luckily, he was able to continue it to the end and didn't fall off the face of the earth with all of it going on. But with about 54 to go, Todd Gillen gets a left rear flat, brings out the caution. And at this point, it sets up the final run to the finish. A 48-lap run, which is just outside the window for a lot, some topped off. Props to Prime for being commercial free from this point forward. I get Prime has a few little issues here and there that they gotta iron out over time. But I put it in my notes just so that I could say I love the fact that we were commercial free to the end. I get maybe if people don't have the greatest internet not liking Prime, but it's getting harder and harder for me to even entertain why it's a bad race coverage and everything like that. The Prime broadcasts have been on it the last 3 weeks. It makes me sad that we only have 2 more left. It really does. Like I'm legitimately sad that we only have 2 more races on Prime. I get TNT as the same people, but once you get back on cable, you got to play by cable rules. And after, while not the worst one yesterday ever, but just after a Fox broadcast with the Truck Series, following that up with this and the sound design on it, the camera angles, it felt faster on TV. I don't want Mexico and Pocono to be the only 2 races the rest of the year that are on Prime. I want more of this. I do. I hope that TNT is good. I expect it to be a ring or 2 below what we're at here right now. I can guarantee it'll be better than Fox. But damn, man, in this time in 2 weeks, depending on when the Pocono race ends, we're going to have to wait a whole year for more races on Prime. And that sucks because I'm loving every minute of it, man. But we get it back going with 48 to go. Hocevar gets the lead, and it's a fuel mileage race from here. It's a complete fuel lottery. You have some that are right on the line to making it. You have some that are 2 laps short, 4 laps short. You have some that just are like, screw it, I don't even know where the hell we are. We're just, we ball. We're going to go and ride to the finish. And you really, I love the burn bar that Prime has because you can really see how much gas they're burning through the run. You can have a little more info as a viewer that can either make you feel better about it, more confident, maybe make you more apprehensive or nervous about it all. And that's something that we don't get with the rest of the broadcasters. That's why I said things. It's a little things like this because it is a little thing. Right? If they didn't have it in, would we notice? No, we wouldn't. But it's those little things that make it so fun as a viewer. Like if you're somebody who's kind of not for it or on the edge, like if you just open up your mind a bit and give it a chance, it is so much fun as a viewer to watch. And it's the same thing with like their Thursday night football coverage. Me as an NFL fan, anytime I watch a Thursday night game, I'm always blown away by how good the coverage is. So props to them. Again, there's little things that are issues, whether it be cameras that go out of focus or something, or sound things here and there, or an audio not syncing up. That stuff needs to be fixed. No broadcast is perfect, but this is the closest to. But getting towards the finish here in the last 20 or so laps, Hocevar is leading, but he's 4 laps short. He's trying to save, but there is no way he makes it to the finish. He'd have to save 8 miles of fuel, and leading with somebody on his tail drafting off him, it's impossible. Byron, Larson, and I believe Ty Gibbs were looking to be about 2 laps short. They were saving through the run. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 in the run. Hocevar, Byron, Larson, Gibbs. 5th place, Denny Hamlin with 20 to go. They're right on the line, but they're like, you know what, man, screw it. You can make it. Go for it. Put the pressure on them. Have them burn as much fuel as possible, and let's see what we got. And you're starting to see them close together. That accordion is just starting to just come together more. And with 19 to go, while he's defending, trying to keep William Byron back, Carson Hocevar has a left rear flat. His hopes are over. 29th is all he can muster at the finish. And I got to say this, Hocevar would have run out. Hocevar would, unless a caution came out because of the way that things are different, the butterfly effect. Carson Hocevar was not going to make it. We knew he was going to run out. And it did feel like anyone could run out of gas at the end of this race, which is really cool. I love that feeling. It's why I love fuel mileage races. I know a lot of people might not feel the same way, but that's how I feel about it, man. But Hocevar, I think the last 3 weeks, and I get the Stenhouse stuff happened, and I get there was pearl clutching, and I get there were some things he could have done differently. But the last 3 weeks, the speed he showed at Charlotte, right? I think it was second place when his engine blew. Ran second last week and was leading with less than 20 to go at Michigan this week. Now I get they're all very similar intermediate type tracks, but this right here is why I and so many other people have that upside on Carson Hocevar. This is why. Right. It is why we are so adamant that he's going to be really big. It's why there's already people, I've seen him all over Twitter and Instagram comments, and I've seen him in here that are saying, come on, man, put Hocevar in the 48 car. Bowman's not doing it. Put him in it. Say, yeah, I'm not going to entertain that argument right now, just because things are set pretty much how they are with both drivers. But this is why, regardless of the dumb stuff he does or the dumb controversies around him, this is why people are so bullish on the driver of the 77. Whether you hate him or you like him, one way or another, he's making it feel a certain way. He's making you root for him or against him. And he's able to back it up. And at least from what's been shown, he doesn't bitch too much about it if somebody races him hard or any of that stuff. I love it. I love seeing him emerge like this. And I think that I still think he's going to get a win this year. I don't know if he makes the playoffs because today was a huge hit. You fall all the way back to 29th at the end of this thing. I mean, that's brutal. But that's been his season so far. I talked about the Charlotte race. He had a blown engine. There's been races he runs top 10, gets caught up in a wreck. There's races he runs top 3, like Bristol, for instance, where he's running similar times to Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin. And something happens in the pits, and he ends up finishing a lap down. And if even half of those things don't happen, if he's able to recoup the finish that he would have had otherwise, Carson Hocevar, I think, is easily in the playoff picture. As we run above the cut line, whatever you want to call it. I firmly believe that. And I think that as this team irons things out, I believe as he matures as a driver, he's only going to get better. He's a driver that, in my opinion, is only upside. He's 22 years old. He's not even close to reaching the peak of a young driver yet when it comes to the age side of things. So I am not worried about him long term. This year, it's going to be pretty tough to make it in this year. I get they've been good at super speedways this year. I get they've been good at road courses, but there's a lot of very good drivers at both of those. And these 1.5 miles, these intermediate type tracks, there are not many of them left in comparison for the rest of the regular season. But hey, I don't know. Watch out for Carson Hocevar, though. I will say, would he be winning if you're in better equipment? Yeah, he would. He would. And we'll talk about NASCAR hated today's winner with the charter lawsuit. We'll talk about that in a moment, of how ironic it is of him winning that thing. So let's get to it. We get to 15 to go. Denny starts to push the issue. He gets past the 54. He gets past the 5. He's pushing it. These guys know that at this point, Denny has more fuel. He's able to push them further. And those two in particular save. And it's like, you know what? If we're going to win, we're going to have to save fuel and hope to God that everybody else runs out or crashes or whatever up there, because they have the right strategy going. And Denny, for laps, just lap after lap after lap, is dogging Byron in the 24, sitting right there behind him, cat and mouse game to the bottom, maybe trying to pass him up top, going. And I'll say this, Michigan, the groove is widening out again, which I love. The surface is wearing out again, which I also really like. There is a lot of upside still to this track, and it took, 13, 14 years to finally come in. But the same kind of thing happened with Fontana. And I know a lot of people are missing Fontana right now because of what we saw today. But it's just the 24 and the 11, back and forth, back and forth. And with 5 to go, Denny gets below Byron. They race side by side for roughly a lap and a half. And finally, Denny clears in 3 with 4 laps to go, just sort of maintains the gap. Chris Buescher did have a good charge up towards the end. And I got to say, I love the speed out of the 17 today. I thought the 17 speed was very, very good. And sort of a return to form. That's a team that needed that kind of run too. But Denny was just, they executed too well. Denny Hamlin gets the win with the Yahoo car. And let me look at the all-time wins list, because you all know, if you watch this, I have it on my phone. And that puts Denny, he's still 11th all-time, I believe 57 career wins. He is 3 away from Kevin Harvick, 6 away from Kyle Busch, and then it's 19 away to Dale Earnhardt. I don't think that he gets to Dale Earnhardt, but if Kyle Busch doesn't win again, I think Denny can get up to 9th all time with how well he's running. Denny shows no signs of slowing down. And I listen, it's the last year with this format. It's with the lawsuit stuff going on, the injunction back and forth right now. Wouldn't it be the most fitting year for Denny Hamlin to win the championship and have Jim France have to be there to take pictures with him in the championship trophy if he, was basically at war with NASCAR? I'm just saying, I'd be very, very interested with that. I doubt that he will win because it's Denny, so something always freaking happens to him, as he has an F-bomb on the post-race show on Prime. But today was a very impressive showing, I think, from that team and from a lot of really good ones. Now, Larson, Bell, and Hamlin all tied at the top with 3 wins on the season, which I think is only going to make the run to the end of the year even more interesting as it goes. But hey, I really liked this race. I really did. I had a ton of fun with it. I think the broadcast helped, but I don't think it was just the broadcast. I think it was just everything came together really well. And I think it's also this part of the season, having some decent to good races has really coincided well with Prime covering them better. And it's made it more enjoyable for us as racing fans. So, you know what? I'm happy with it, man. I'm happy with it. And that's all I can ask out of it. I'm very bullish on a lot of the stuff that's going on right now with the sport. And yeah, Noah, fun weekend. There also was the stuff about Ram, the worst kept secret in the industry. Michael Waltrip yesterday pretty much just announcing a bunch of stuff with it, and the Fox booth doing that. Just Fox gonna Fox. But I'm happy to have Ram back. I've been very bullish on believing the Ram rumors just because they seem different this time. But hey, I get people's skepticism. Sounds like there's another one that's possibly close to signing on that they're talking about. But we got Ram in the trucks again. They said they're hoping to field 4 to 6 teams, racing teams, not full on race teams. Then they're not going to have half the trucks in the series. But it seems like they're very bullish that they're going to grow the sport, which is interesting. If you saw their comments, they're very, very interesting. And yes, it is possibly Honda. is the talk of the town. Yeah. So, hey, all in all, I think for NASCAR fans, a very good weekend. Let's finish this off looking at your guys' super chats. I guess a super chat stage break. Snappy here saying race of the year. And I guess that'll be the last poll we'll put up on here. I'm just going to put it as a question. Race of the year. You let me know. Was this the race of the year? Bobby Blair here said, one word to describe NASCAR on Prime: professional. Yeah. And it's sad with how bad Fox has gone with this, but that's the bar. The bar is professional, and I think they've cleared the bar with a lot of it, but professionalism, taking the sport seriously, I think NBC fits that, and I think TNT will as well. Same people for the most part working on it. But it can't be understated how much professionalism in a broadcast is needed. Andrew Winslow with the 2 says, the low cow is Rudy Fugle. Bad math again. You win some, you lose some. But that thing is that once you're locked in, once you're as high up in the points as those guys are, these are the races you guys got to go for it with. So I wouldn't take too much stock in it being like an overboard reaction to this. SW with the 5 says, absolute cinema. This race is good. Holy deja vu of Hamlin v. Byron. And sorry, I had to say this again. Prime puts Fox to shame. Yahoo! With the long woo. Yeah, I agree. This race was amazing to watch. And I hear it was even better in person from people I know that were there. They said it was really, really awesome. And I think putting this close to a bin with the 600 is something that is a real conversation to be had. They put Fox to shame. I agree. Totally agree. Cavs fan here for the 5 says, of effing course, Chase takes the lead and all the drivers forget how to drive. Then the pit crew makes a mistake. I kind of been saying, man, it's just been one of those rough ass years for Chase Elliott fans because nothing can go right. They have not put a full race together yet this year. And I think if that team puts a full race together, they get a win. Totally think, don't care where it's at. If that team executes and the driver executes, they win a race. But they can't execute fully for some reason. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's leadership, luck, whatever. And thank you, Eric W., for the 10 gifted memberships. Good to see you. And I appreciate it. I'm sure everybody else in here appreciates it as well. They got one. And Andrew Winslow also gifting one as well. Thank you for that. I do appreciate it. I need to make a note. I do very much appreciate it. And Scott McNew, good to see you, man. Says, by far the best Michigan race I went to. Awesome. That's awesome. I really got to get back to a race at Michigan. Absolutely love seeing races at Michigan. I think it's one of the most fun tracks to be at, even though it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but that's old school NASCAR for you. Snappy, the 5 here says, Prime is spoiling us so bad, man. It's almost like you have to watch the trucks to balance out the bliss of Prime with the bile of Fox to stay grounded. That is a very graphic and descriptive way to say it, but I oddly feel connection with that and agree with you. Max for the 2 says 9 out of 10, best race of the year. Such a sad winner. This thing, I don't dislike Denny. I love the trolling. I love when he wins because you know what? I love when fans make noise. That's the best way I can put it. Zo6 Paul with the 5 says another solid day for 2311. Glad to see Bubba and Tyler finishing where they should be. That's right. Yeah. I mean, I didn't even talk about some of these finishers. You had the 45 finishing 13th, probably could have been better, ran up front in a lot of this race. Of course, we don't talk about Herps. I'm pretty sure Dale Jr. again forgot that Denny Hamlin has a third car because he's like, both of Denny's cars are up there racing him right now. And it's like, Dale, there is another. But Bubba Wallace, top 5 finish. We had some worry similar to Alex Bowman about Bubba Wallace. That team has really sewn it all up, gotten things kind of back on track, under control. And because of that, now putting them points together. Wizard King Nick says trucks to Prime like Xfinity to CW, please. totally when it comes to the coverage. The coverage for CW is awesome too, and for Prime. And listen, I think a lot of people are going to be harsh on NBC, but NBC, might not be like the A tier that those two are. But I do think that NBC is still a good, like, solid B tier. If you're looking on a tier list, it is probably on the B tier side of things. And I don't want people to go too hard on NBC because let's be frank here. They're not as top of the line as Prime has been and as CW has been. But I think for the first time in a long time, the majority of NASCAR broadcasts across the top 3 series are actually pretty good. And they're actually willing to try and make a push forward, and do different things and evolve to the modern era. Like, so let's see. BCM 89 for the 5 says, for a Denny win to have over 50% of the year voting, just say race of the year. Go Denny, go Heim. Love the truck series this year too. We do have the poll up, by the way, on the community tab. I know a lot of people like to vote on that, comment on that. Looking pretty positive as we're talking right now. Very positive, actually, after around just under 2,000 votes. So I'm very I'm very interested this week to see what we talk about on Eric's channel for NWP. Then Grant here says, okay. Tell Danny Sumpik Sui for me. Hogs over Vols. I'll let Danny know. That should be fun. Definitely comment this week. I love the back for this thing. I don't know much about college sports. I watch like my team and that's it. I watch Notre Dame for football and then get disappointed at the end of the year no matter what, even though I know it's coming. But the rest of it, man, I'm out of it. So I love watching from afar and having no skin in the game at all. But hey, man, I had fun this weekend. I thought this weekend was a fun weekend through and through. Very much what I want out of NASCAR racing. Truck Series race, until the craziness, was an awesome race too. And I still thought, even when you add the stupidness at the end, was still a very good race and a fun race to talk about. This one, really great race to talk about and have a lot of fun with. I love the momentum, and I really hope they're able to keep it going in Mexico this coming week. So be sure this week, subscribe if you're new, by the way. If you haven't already, because I believe we're closing in on 87,000. But be sure this week you got videos coming out. NWP is going to be on Eric's channel this week again. Going to be a lot of fun, as you see right there on the bottom. And then I'll be live after the Xfinity and Cup race. And I think I'll go live before the Prime coverage starts up on Sunday for Mexico. Just, I like doing before the big races, like doing pre-race shows. I didn't do it for the 600 because of just Indy going long, but maybe we'll do a pre-race show this week. How about that? 11 races to go to the playoffs. So it's starting to get to be crunch time. We're going to have to start talking points big time now. Going to be a lot of fun. And I cannot wait for the rest of this. It sucks that we don't have more Prime races. So thank you guys so much for coming out. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Vote on the poll. Come on out in the live streams this week. Have a lot of fun. And I will see you then. So have a good night, y'all.